My boss tried to destroy me in front of 200 people, but he didn't know who my father was. And by the time he realized it, it was already too late.
The first few weeks at Apex Dynamics felt almost hopeful. Derek Voss stood at the front of the room on my very first day, arms wide open, wearing that perfect, expensive CEO smile. "Welcome to the family, Emily. Here, we take care of our own." He even pulled me aside after the meeting, looked me in the eye, and said with a warm tone, "You have real talent, Emily. Fresh ideas. Stick with me. I'll make sure you go far in this company." For a moment, I actually believed him. I was 28, new city, fresh start. I used my mother's last name, Harlan, so no one would connect the dots to my father, Senator Richard Harlan. I didn't want any shortcuts. I didn't want his shadow clearing the path for me. I wanted to prove that I could survive and succeed on my own merits, my own strength. But the mask didn't take long to slip. 30 minutes later, during that same welcome meeting, his voice changed completely. Derek leaned forward, eyes scanning the room like a predator. "We only keep the strong here," he said casually, but his tone was ice cold. "The weak ones? They don't last. And if you can't handle the pressure, there's the door." He looked straight at me, the smile completely gone from his eyes. "And trust me, I'll make sure no one in this industry ever hires you again." I forced a smile. I nodded. I stayed quiet. That was my first mistake. In Derek's world, silence wasn't safety. It was a target. From that moment, the family turned into a nightmare. Long hours with no overtime pay, public humiliations during morning briefings. "Emily missed another deadline again," he'd say with that smirk in front of the entire team. Some people just aren't built for high performance. Maybe daycare would be a better fit for you? The room would go completely silent, screens glowing. No one dared look at me. No one dared defend me. Every single night, I sat in my car in the parking garage after work, hands trembling on the steering wheel. One particular night, it all became too much. I broke down completely, forehead pressed against the wheel, crying so hard I couldn't catch my breath. I kept whispering to myself, "I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I'm quitting tomorrow." The tears wouldn't stop. I felt so small, so powerless. But something deep inside stopped me from sending that resignation email that night. Instead, quietly, I started doing the only thing I could. I began recording everything. Screenshots of impossible deadlines, voice memos of his threats, emails where he bragged about his management tactics, every insult, every manipulation. At home, during our quiet Sunday dinners, my dad would gently ask, "How's the new job, sweetheart?" I'd force a smile across the table and say, "It's fine, Dad. Just busy." I didn't want to be the senator's daughter who couldn't handle the real world. I wanted to win this battle on my own. Then came the annual leadership summit. 200 people filled the glittering ballroom. Crystal chandeliers, stage lights, applause echoing everywhere. Derek stood on stage like a king, talking smoothly about culture, integrity, and how Apex was one big family. My heart was pounding as I waited for the Q&A session. When my turn came, I stood up. My voice was steadier than I felt inside. "I have a question about our culture," I said, "about the recordings of senior leaders discussing tax fraud and the systematic humiliation of employees until they quit just to save the company money." I pressed play on the small speaker in my hand. 30 seconds. That's all it took. Derek's own voice, laughing about how he broke the spirit of the last girl who had my position. The entire room went dead silent. Then Derek laughed. a slow, chilling, amused laugh that sent ice down my spine. "Oh, Emily," he said with that fake sympathy dripping from every word. "We all know you've been under a lot of stress lately. Those recordings, clearly edited. You've been emotional, missing targets, coming in late. I even offered you help, remember?" He turned to the audience, arms spread wide like a performer. "This is exactly what happens when weak people try to bring down giants." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some people started nodding. Someone whispered loud enough for me to hear, "I always thought she seemed a bit off." Then Derek looked straight at me, his voice dropping low and dangerous. "Do you really think you are the first one to try this, Emily? Careful. Accusations like that can end careers. Yours, for example." He gave a small nod toward the side of the room. Two security guards immediately started walking toward me. The whole ballroom was watching. My legs felt weak. This was it. They were going to escort me out like some criminal in front of everyone. Right as the first guard reached out and grabbed my arm, the big ballroom doors at the back swung open with force. Senator Richard Harlan walked in, calm, powerful. His presence filled the entire room. He moved straight toward the stage, stepped between me and the security guard, and placed a steady, protective hand on my shoulder. Then he spoke into the microphone I was still holding, his voice ice-cold and cutting. "You didn't build power, Derek. You built fear. And fear collapses the moment people stop being afraid." The giant screens behind Derek suddenly lit up, not just my short clip. High-definition security footage, bank records, internal memos, all the verified evidence I had secretly sent to my father's team weeks earlier when I was crying alone in that parking garage. Derek's face drained of all color. His hand twitched visibly. He took one small, unsteady step backward and looked around the room desperately. No one met his eyes. No one stood up for him. The man who once controlled everything now stood completely alone. 3 weeks later, Apex Dynamics collapsed under federal investigations, a crashing stock price, and a flood of lawsuits from former employees who finally felt safe enough to speak out. I sent a one-line resignation email the next morning and walked away. No victory party, no social media post, just silence. Looking back now, I didn't walk away completely untouched. I still flinch when someone raises their voice too loudly at work. I don't trust people as quickly as I used to. The scars from those months are still there, but I also found something I never had before. My revenge wasn't just watching the company fall. My revenge was finally letting go of the version of me who believed she had to endure everything in silence, who thought staying quiet meant she was weak. Turns out, sometimes silence isn't weakness at all. Sometimes it's the smartest, most dangerous weapon you have. I'm Emily now, wiser, a little more guarded, but truly free. And for the first time in a very long time, I can look in the mirror every morning and feel proud of who I've become. Thank you for listening. See you in the next one.